beautiful people, to a very weird episode of Night Attack. Normally, this is the comedy show where we try to make you laugh by setting fire to the internet, but it turns out the internet is on fire just fine on its own and needs no help from us. So, for a very special episode, we have me, Justin Robert Young, out in OAK, my BFF JRY.
How you doing, man?
We've got Bryce Neshcom Castillo, and man, what we used to always laughingly call our racial liaison, Owen JJ Stone, aka OhDoctah, but it turns out we actually need a fucking visit from the doctor to explain to us what the fuck is happening, man.
Yeah, obviously everything is gone crazy. Owen, how you doing, man?
I'm over here living the dream. This is America, and we are in the middle of it right now.
So, are we scabs for showing up on the internet? Is that are we in trouble?
So I'm gonna fix that, right?
Okay.
So technically, you shouldn't be on the internet, but
Which we're not.
But for a good few minutes, I'm going to talk about the subject on topic, which gives you cover for being on the internet.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I want to talk about some stuff. I'm going to give some story time. And for anybody watching or listening, there'll probably be some notes when I stop talking. You can skip to that. But I promise after I get done, we will have fun because I need to talk to Brian about the restitution owed to me because he's still using the BB Live logo behind him. And I am one of the founding members, and I haven't received my royalty checks in a very long time. And we're not going to discuss it tonight.
Number one. No, I'm so glad you brought this up.
We're going to discuss it tonight.
I've been wanting to bring this up forever because I felt it's a crime against everybody on this show. Do you know who built this? OMG Chad. Do you know what that motherfucker just did? Crossed 1 million subscribers. Got himself a big old Hulk trophy. I don't know where that came from, but that dude is rolling in it, and I agree we should go after his ass.
And it doesn't matter that he's rolling in it. He's part of my class action suit against you, Brian Brushwood. So don't try to circumvent the story. Don't try to take the navigation away from. Focus on the protesting. It's not the rioting or the looting that I'm about to do.
Owen, Brian, please. As Brian's lawyer, we would request the beginning of story time.
Okay. Good save. So I personally do not obviously speak for all Black people. I can only speak for myself, but my phone has been inundated with a lot of amazing Caucasian people, sad, scared to death, don't know what to say, don't know how to say it, don't know how to help, don't know what to do or what they can do, but they want to do something. And I think to myself, man, that stress and pressure you guys have on you right now to be careful about everything you do is exactly how I feel when I get pulled over all the time. It's exactly how I feel when I walk through a store with my small child and a woman comes up to my child and says, "Where's your mother? Who is this man?" So basically, I'll tell you things about me that, like I said, I can't speak for everybody. But when I was 11 years old, my dad had a warrant. He got arrested. They served this warrant in the middle of the night. I had a shotgun put in my face at 11 years old, a cop screaming at me to get on the ground, get up, move, whatever. And another nice officer came in and stopped this man from having a gun pointed in my face and said, "It's a kid, dude. Calm down. This is a child." And I'm very thankful for that officer because who knows what could have happened. But that was my first instance where I had a gun put in my face. The second instance is I'm driving down the highway. I see a cop pull over a person. There's two cops pulled over. What do you do when you see a cop on the side of the road? You get into the far lane. As a courtesy, people just do it. Everyone knows to do it. I go around the corner to the bridge and the toll. Cop blows through the toll next to me, backs into my car, jumps out with his gun drawn. The woman who I'm paying the toll to starts screaming. And I'm literally with my hands out of the window saying, "Sir, could you please calm down? And ma'am, could you please stop screaming so he doesn't shoot me?" He's like, pull the car over. I'm like, "Sir, I'm in the stall paying the toll. I'll pay the toll. If you pull forward, I'll pull over." This cop pulled me over and said, I blew by him doing 70 miles an hour. How he would know, I have no clue because he was standing outside of his vehicle. And who in their right mind speeds up when they see cops on the side of the road? Nobody. This man seemed to be manic and out of control. Went through my car, found my daughter's plastic bow and arrow and asked me, why do I have weapons in the car? What do I do for a living? All the regular rigmarole. right? I had to calm this man down. He gives me 7 tickets. I'm not even gonna list tickets. He gives me 7 tickets. The next month, when I was supposed to go to court before that, I got pneumonia. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I almost died. That's why COVID's no joke, because I've been on a ventilator. It is insanely, insanely crazy to be on one of those things. And while I was in there, I missed court. When I get out, I had a warrant. As soon as I got home, the first thing I did was go and pay the bail, $500 to get myself out of the warrant. One of my friend's moms knew I was in the hospital, said she wanted to make me a meal. I went out to her house. She lives in a very wealthy neighborhood. We're out there hanging out. Next thing I know, it's 12 o'clock. I'm driving home. I get pulled over. Cop, you know, I have a warrant out for your arrest. I said, sir, I don't have a warrant. Can I get the paperwork? He says, sure. I get the paperwork. I show him the paperwork. He's like, I'm sorry to do this, but you're going to have to get out of the car. I need to handcuff you because it's saying in the system that you didn't pay the warrant. I see your paperwork, but I don't know if it's valid. I need to check it. Sure, officer. I get out of the car. I lock the door. I throw my keys underneath my car. He puts me in the back of his car. 7 other cop cars show up because, again, it's the middle of the night. I'm in a very wealthy neighborhood, and the warrant says out of Camden City. The cops come and say, tell him to open his car. Tell him we can search through his car. The guy looks back at me and he's like, you don't seem like a criminal. Are you a criminal? I'm like, no. He's like, well, they want to search your car. I said, I don't have my keys. What do you mean you don't have your keys? I'm like, I don't have my keys. They take me out of the car. They search me. I don't have my keys. How'd you get in the car? I'm like, I don't know. I have a push button start. I might have left it at my friend's house. I don't have my keys. When I got out, the car locked itself. That cop saved me from those 8 other cops that had nothing better to do in a small, rich town, and it said warrant out of Camden. That cop drove me back to my friend's house to get my keys and drop me off. Then I had to have my friend crawl underneath the car because I'm too fat to get my keys so I can go home. Okay. Now, 2 more stories for you so you can understand how real it is. I lived in a wealthy neighborhood, had a 3,000 square foot house, 3-car garage, and lovely place. I thought, I'm making money. I'm doing good. Let me go buy this big place I didn't even need. My daughter had an extra playroom. I was balling out of control. I'm driving home to go pick up her soccer bag, which she left on the front step because she's 6, and that's what kids do. And there's cops there again. Now, again, you go around them. I went around them. I pull in my driveway. My daughter jumps out of the car to go get her bag. There's a cop with a gun drawn saying, get back in the car. Who's getting out of the car? Mind you, can't see her because she's so little. I'm like, sir, it's my daughter. She's just going to get her bag. Put her back in the car. I had to explain my way out of that. And he only felt bad because he pulled a gun and there was a child.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you a ticket. Okay. Then there's another time where I'm separated from the mother of my child. So every morning I go to her house to pick up her lunch box and take her to school on my days. My daughter gets out of the car, gets the lunchbox, gets back in the car. Cop follows us. He follows me all the way to the elementary school, pulls me over in front of the school at the pickup line with everyone there, and accuses me of doing a drug deal at the house. I said, sir, who does a drug deal at 7 o'clock in the morning with a 3rd grader in the car? My daughter was getting her lunchbox. License and registration. Sir, I don't have time for this. So I had my daughter go pick up drugs so she can go sell them to 3rd graders. These are the kind of things I've had to talk my way out of. And luckily, as you can tell, I'm very personable. I'm funny. And I'm pretty much kick-ass and amazing. So I know how to handle myself and take care of myself. But in 3 years living in that nice house, I got pulled over 87 times. Check my Instagram. You can see it. I only got 13 tickets. So that means out of those times, there's a lot of, oh, your name's Owen and you're not selling drugs or gang banging or smelling like weed when I come up to the car. No, sir, not me. Sorry. And I get to go home. So I live those experiences all the time. I have to deal with those all the time. I have to live with that fear all the time. My daughter is afraid every time we get pulled over. Like, it's a way that I have to live. So for some people that are upset and sad about looting and rioting, and they're so upset and they're so afraid and they're so scared, welcome to a lot of the country's daily basis feeling whenever they see lights in the rear view or anything else going on. So
yeah, let me just do this explainer that will kind of go both ways, just to bring people in. And I'm glad we started
Just
with
to
all those
set the
stories.
context of everything,
Yeah,
right?
just to set the context. Number one, over 10 years ago, when I first started going on the internet and making jokes with Brian, it was joined by Owen JJ Stone. There is
founding member.
no franchise that has now spanned over a decade without Owen. So number one,
I
if you've
believe
enjoyed,
my avatar right now, if you look at Scam School Brian on Twitch, is still the four of us. It's you, me, Brett, and Owen is my avatar. Scam School Brian, yeah.
And if you've enjoyed any of the versions of this show, then you've enjoyed part of the DNA that Owen helped create and has continued to go on. If you've laughed, if you are a hardcore fan and you have laughed along with us as we've made jokes and had a great time with Owen throughout the years, and singing the Sky 5 song of so many years ago, and
Oh my God.
and just being a character amongst our motley crew,
That's
then understand that happened while all these stories were happening. Like this is a part of who Owen is. So just so people understand, both hardcore fans and people that might have joined in more recently, that this is intimate to us, and it's why we wanted to just have this be a long form kind of conversation with somebody that is near and dear to this program.
Yeah, you know what's I don't know. It's wild to hear those stories and to hear how similar some of the beats are. If I say comedically, that comes across wrong, but thematically, there are beats of magic and sleight of hand in this one of the stories that you were talking about ditching the keys underneath the car. Justin has a popular being pulled over story that he tells where he happened to have a bunch of magic DVDs in the back, and before you know it, he's teaching magicians how to do, teaching
police
how to do police how to do magic tricks. I certainly on a television show was like, here's a wacky way to make an officer chuckle and maybe get out of a ticket. But man, oh man, is that context different between one of those three stories, and how I don't know. I just want to. I want to hear more of what you're feeling right now in this moment, and because what we're seeing is a lot of action, and what we felt is a lot of tension for a very long time, and now we're seeing something snap, and I don't have the words for it, but maybe you do, Owen. Like what are you feeling right now?
So again, the thing what you were just describing is like, if someone didn't know me and they heard me tell those stories, they think, oh, this guy is sad and depressed. Or like sometimes people go on my Twitter right now and they're like, this guy is just angry about everything. And I'm like, nah, bro, like I'm like a fun loving dude. I understand that the world is an ugly place, like, but it's also a beautiful place. There's so much trash and so much cleanliness in the world that if you dwell on one thing, of course it could be whatever you want it to be. But currently in this state, I haven't been able to sleep this last week. And it's really just because of one thing. When you talk about this specific incident, all people would have been happier and you could have avoided all of this if you just charged the police officers that day when you fired them. Once that captain who said they were all complicit in that man's murder were all charged, we wouldn't have it as bad as we do right now. Like there's people all over the world protesting about this simply because you can literally see how unfair it was. And people say the riots don't do anything, but the violence doesn't do anything. I don't know. Things got pretty violent at that precinct. The next day, that man is charged with murder. Why did it take the police department burning down for him to be charged the next morning? Why was the DA saying things that didn't sound like anybody was going to get charged? So I feel hopeful, one, that there's people that I personally know were on the other side of things. And I wouldn't call them racists, but I would call them viewed in their way of living. They think that everything's black and white and right is wrong and wrong is right, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Now they're seeing like, oh wow, it's not right and wrong for everyone. Some people are just getting the wrong and they're not getting any of the right. What? So I'm happy for that in this moment.
I don't know who's best to field this question, but I'm so confused by the counter protesting because the video is fairly unambiguous. It's horrific and awful. It is straight up, a murder of some variety. I suppose if you're a defense attorney, you might try to go as low as manslaughter 1. I don't know, but it's fairly unambiguous and horrible. But who is not on the side? Like, what is the other side of this? And why am I seeing cops walking down the street just shooting beanbags into apartments of people who are hanging out on their balconies and stuff?
So I'll say this. Fear is a crazy thing, right? So right now, again, how you probably feel upset and worried. And like I said, I started off saying a lot of white people are just like, oh man, like, what do I do? Like there's so much pressure on people right now. So imagine you're a cop and you've got to go outside and things are getting set on fire. People are setting fire to cop cars and all that kind of stuff. They feel that heightened thing that, again, black people feel more often than they do. But they should understand that that's the job that they chose, and they shouldn't take it out on these people because they could take that uniform off and quit today and go be safe somewhere, not being cops. I can't not be black and go feel safe somewhere. So a lot of that has to do with fear. And that fear turns to anger because they think in their mind, I'm here to protect you. I'm not the one that killed that guy. But they're in a quote unquote gang, a group that believes in no snitching, protect the blue, back the blue. So it's very great and amazing when you see a cop step out and say that was wrong. Because for the most part, they don't go against each other. They have a union, they have reps, and they've been taught in a culture of we are together, it's us against them. So they're already charged up to do more damage. It's amazing that they're out there knowing that people are filming them with police brutality and they're still doing it. There's something mental in there. The fear, the anger, they're triggered, which is also the reason why people loot. The fear, the anger, they're triggered. So you're seeing it on both sides.
So let me ask you this, Owen. This is certainly not the first time that we have seen a situation like this. It's not the first time that we've seen one on video, specifically with body cams and cell phones. We've had Philando Castle and Sandra Brown and Michael Brown and Ferguson, Oscar Grant here in Oakland. Why do people care like this now? Do you have any sense of what's different?
Because of what Brian just said a minute ago. Okay. So when you see someone running and they might have come from a store, they might have looted, they might have not looted, they might have robbed a store, or maybe they've broken into somebody's home, or they've got some kind of direct criminal intent. First things first, this man's criminal intent was a fake $20 bill. So no matter who you are, you're thinking, yeah, the cops calling you for a fake 20? They didn't just take the 20 and make you leave? Like, really? That's every human being, because everybody's either had a fake dollar or something like that, or known somebody. It's not that big a deal. Then you get into the 9 minutes straight of a man on the ground.
This is the part where I take a moment to really reconsider our Twitch panel where I gave away counterfeit money to anyone who would ask a question.
And the Chinese that was stamped on it helped.
Yes.
But again, that basic note is like, man, really? Like, that's why Eric Garner hit people so much, because they're like, over a Lucy cigarette, over 25 cents. But then, you know what really got to every person? I mean, unless you're a straight up racist, which I love the fact that I can actually see them directly. The fact that this man didn't say I can't breathe, didn't say my neck hurt. The last thing he said before he died was, mama.
That was the part that crushed me. That was the part that just broke my heart. And I still don't know how to react to that. Like that is those two syllables sit with me and paralyze me, and I don't know what to do. Like I like even now, I don't know if we're doing the right thing or the wrong thing by being on the internet right now.
A grown man called for his mother who is dead. So one, is he seeing his mom on his way out? What is he seeing at the end of that tunnel? The light's going dim. Does he see his mom when he's calling out for his mom? Like, shit, man. Like, if that doesn't, it's not like his mom's alive and he was calling for help. His mother had already passed and he was called for his mother.
Right.
And
then he was announcing, I'm coming to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is all right. So you're saying it is the incident. It is the fact that the incident is on tape. There is clear audio. There's high definition video, and it is so egregious that there is nobody. Like, that's the reason why there is protesting in Salt Lake City, which has like a 6% Black population. Like that this has reached this gigantic level because this is such an odious, vile example of this problem.
I feel like we've seen equally terrible black and white, obviously wrong moments before.
Ferguson, he was running, he reached into the cop car. Like, there's other things that you could say. Eric Gardner, he was so much bigger than that guy. He was fighting them off when they first tried to arrest him.
Yeah.
This, you don't see any of that. And again, it goes on for so long. And the Castillo thing, that set people off, but he was a gun owner. And so again, you get to put these other things in because they always try to discredit the person. But in here, there is no discrediting. There's nothing you can say. Oh, he had drugs in the system. Okay. Well, he wasn't raging out. The man was 6'5". He didn't Hulk out and throw 3 cops through a windshield.
No.
So you don't have any of the normal tropes that regular middle of the way people could say, oh, well, he shouldn't have resisted, or he shouldn't have ran, or he shouldn't have. You've cut out all
there's
those
no
excuses for
hashtag
those
both
people.
sides to this discussion. No. It's truly black and white in a way that you feel like is unprecedented up until this point.
And then, if indeed, as Elon Musk professes, we live in a simulation, the most disgusting detail of it is that the way by which this guy dies is the same pose that Colin Kaepernick created a national firestorm about for 3 years. 3 years, we had a conversation about a protest that happened a handful of times during a football season, and it's that, of all things, the most overexposed racial protest we have ever seen covered, at least in a short period of time. That's the method by which a man dies on a video that goes 9 minutes. Like, it is, when you look at it just like that, there's no way that this could not have been big. Although I do wonder, Owen, if we weren't in a situation where we had no TV, no sports, no movies, no nothing, would we still be looking at this and as long as we have and be as disgusted by it?
Yes, we would.
Okay.
Because it was for 9 minutes. Again, the reason that people are so overwhelmingly through the roof about this, there's no denying that. So whether you had a basketball game to watch or sports games to watch, I guarantee you, if you're watching LeBron James in the playoffs and the finals right now, you would see George Floyd's face on LeBron's chest night after night. You couldn't escape it. And now, again, more white athletes are speaking up because, again, this is something where, not for nothing, they can be safe about speaking out with their outrage because there is no other side to this. This man wasn't a gun-toting criminal. He didn't fight back. He didn't beat up people. He's just a victim. So everybody knows that they can say something and speak up and speak out and hit these streets. So, I mean, people ain't got jobs. I don't think it'd be any different with this situation because this situation is so egregious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right about the pain. I would agree with you about the pain. I do think some of the protests would be different if we were still in the situation we were in February in terms of jobs and employment and stuff like that. I do think that's part of it.
To rephrase, Owen, I think you've given the very best explanation I've heard so far as to why so much action is being taken, because that's the part that's been hard for me to wrap my head around, because we've seen injustice before and we've seen it in fairly what I've considered black and white terms. But I'm surprised by the amount of action. And I think your explanation that no, there's no celebrity who's already in living rooms who can help usher this message along. There's no ready-made shark that we can ride to getting the word out. The only way it happens is by taking it to the streets, and I think that's a powerful reframing of it. And I suppose it immediately has me wondering why is anybody actively and violently fighting back against that? Help me understand the other side of it. What is their narrative? What to my libertarian mind wants to think of as jackbooted thugs, hoping to accomplish with their beanbag shooting, quote unquote, non-lethal rounds.
Let me introduce you to a little thing I like to call marketing. Okay. So marketing is a thing where Colin Kaepernick is against the troops. No. He's against, it's the troops. No. He's disrespecting the troops. You know what? He's disrespecting the troops. Now it's, why can't they be peaceful like Colin Kaepernick? I would have supported that. Didn't you say it was against the troops? What? Wait, the troops? Remember the troops? No, because this looting and rioting is just but the protests, like all day they were positive. Like all day you didn't say anything about the positive, but as soon as the sun goes down, you're tweeting about the nighttime stuff. Like, what about the? Because they're not being peaceful.
So it's would it be? I don't want to overgeneralize, but would it be too much to say it's purely tribal, where it's just like people, like this is my tribe and I gotta make up whatever truth I have to believe in order to continue to walk with them?
Because again, the thing I said earlier, people that are watching this and when I show a video of a police officer driving through a crowd, I get the answer, Owen, they're setting fire to police cars. And I say, well, maybe because they're driving through crowds. Maybe you don't drive through the crowds and they won't set. But okay, so they're attacking police now. That's your issue. There's been one, actually, very sadly, I just read there was a police officer shot in Las Vegas. But overall, it's not like people are running out with AK-47s mowing down police officers and killing police officers. But that's the narrative that some people want to take. Oh, and they can't do this to the cops because, again, that's a very visceral tribal thing. Cops protect us. We must protect cops. This is what you've been taught. This is what's ingrained to you. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm always attacked by the cops. They're supposed to protect me. I'll tell you another quick story time. My very nice house, right before I moved out of it, I got robbed. There was a power storm. I lost $30,000 of equipment. All my cameras, my laptops, everything was stolen from me. I got home, filled out a paperwork on all my stuff, wrote down a list of everything that was missing. I drove to the police station to fill out a report. I get the detective. The detective says, well, why didn't you call us out to the house? I said, I don't know. I saw a black guy in Ohio got robbed. He called the police. They shot him in his driveway, thinking he was a suspect. So I just feel safer coming to the station and filling out the report here. He said, oh, I can't argue with you there. 2 months later, when I decided to move out of this house, I got the door open because when you're moving, you're moving boxes in and out. I had 12 cops in my front yard, 4 cops in my backyard. The cop at the front door had a gun on me, knocking on the door. My daughter's upstairs in her room with my ex, her mother, packing up her stuff. And I'm told to come out, get down on the ground. I said, for what? They're like, sir, we've had break-ins in this area. Your door's open. Someone called the cops. I said, my house was just robbed. This is my house. My detective's name is actually Michael Jackson. That's his name. No joke. The officer's name is Michael Jackson. And so I said, Detective Jackson is my officer. But we need your ID. Go get us your ID. I'm like, sir, I don't want to move right now. My ID's in the car, but I have moving boxes. Like my child's here, you know. And it took someone else to say, let me call Detective Jackson, for them to let me up off the ground in my own home, in my own driveway. And that's why I don't call the police out to my house. My daughter knows if something happens to me because I have a heart condition, to call her mother first before she calls 911. When she gets pulled over with me in the car, now that she's older, last time I got pulled over, not going to lie, I was speeding. I looked at her right in her face and I said, I'm going to tell the doctor I got diarrhea. I'm going to tell the cop I got diarrhea. I got to go to the bathroom. Just know that that's what I'm telling him. Cop comes over. He asked me, what are you doing? I said, sir, I know I'm speeding. I got diarrhea. I got to go to the bathroom really bad. He says, okay. He asked her, he's like, how old are you? She doesn't say anything. He's like, are you okay? She doesn't say anything. And he's like, is she all right? I'm like, she doesn't speak to strangers. She's been instructed not to speak to strangers. Would you like to ask her another question? He said, yeah. I said, Leah, you can answer him. And he's like, how old are you? She's like, oh, I'm 12. It's like, okay. She's like, you having a good night? She's like, I don't know. My dad just said he has to go to the bathroom. We're trying to get home to go to the bathroom. And he said, oh, nice. You got a good kid here. Have a good night. But these are conversations I have to have with my kid so that she knows the drill. It's sad that I have to be that way and have to live that way. Not for nothing, she's mixed. So in the summertime, she looks Spanish, but the rest of the time she looks white. So she can pass through, you know. Oh, another fun story. I'll tell you a fun story since that was a sad story. I'll tell you a fun story. When she was like 6, you know, as a black parent, you try to tell your kids about the N-word, right? So I tell her, like, look, now I'm black and your mom's white. You're allowed to say the N-word. It's a bad word. Don't say it in school. Not allowed to say it. But when the songs come on and stuff like that, feel free to sing it and go ahead and do what you want to do. I said, just know that you're allowed to say it because you're black, but you're a kid, so you shouldn't say it. Definitely not in school. She says, okay. She walks away. 20 minutes later, she comes back. She looks at me. She's like, so I can say it in the summertime, but I can't say it in the wintertime. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, wait, what do you mean? She's like, well, in the summertime, I look like you. So in the summertime, I feel like I should be able to say it because I look black. And I was just like, oh my God, she's 6 years old. That was hysterical. I laughed in her face.
I tell you what, it sounds to me like there should be
Logical.
an app where you could just like find out whether or not it's the right time.
I think they got a shade card for that. If you're this dark, you can say it.
She's gonna get a FaceTime alert. Like it'll just be like your phone is unlocked and also the pass is activated.
Booyah.
So how does this? I mean, it's far too much to hope for, you know, to say end, but like what happens next? I mean, where does this go?
Well, here, let me
I feel like we saw a version of this, you know, 8-10 years ago, but now we're in this heightened version of it, and I don't know.
Let me try to put an even finer point on it for you, Owen. You are supreme ruler. You are not just our racial liaison. You are indeed the racial liaison for the United States of America, and what you say goes. What changes would you like to see to avoid the situations that A, you've described, and B, helped bring about the death of George Floyd?
Okay, so that's a twofold question. I'll answer what's gonna happen. I can answer that too. But what I would do to solidify and fix this problem right now?
Yeah.
Okay. All you have to do to fix this problem is, one, when an officer is fired from his job and charged with a crime, found guilty of that crime, the taxpayers do not pay the payout for that. The pension of the police do. And maybe you don't get $9 million. Maybe you're only allowed to get a capped number, but that number comes out of their unified pension for that area.
Yeah.
That would make people cause to pause when they're doing certain things. Secondly, any officer that gets fired from his job has to get charged for what he got fired for. It's not enough that they fire these officers for wrongdoing. They can just go across the town and go get another job somewhere else in another precinct. And then 8 years later, they kill somebody or whatever to somebody. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's, well, check his record. He got fired twice from 2 other departments. Why do they keep giving this guy a job? If you lose your job as a police officer, it's like a medical license. You lose your license. You cannot practice medicine. You can no longer practice being an officer of the law. That's the second thing. And then the third thing, the thing that fixes all things. There is no more money in politics. There's no more lobbyists that just get to buy all things and buy all politicians and put people in power. You have a stipend depending on your level that you're on. This is the money you're allowed to spend. This is what it is. So that new voices, new people, people of color, people of minorities that don't have the funds and the fundraisers and maybe the educational background to ascend in the political power could run locally and create change. Those three things, I mean, I'm not a Civil Rights Act guy, but that sounds about right to me to fix a lot of the stuff that's going on in the justice system.
Can I bring focus in a little bit closer to like tomorrow? What happens this Friday? What happens? How much longer?
Owen said he was going to give us what's going to happen. So what's going to happen?
So if you would have charged all 4 police officers, you wouldn't have riots like you do. You wouldn't even have as much protesting as you do. The fact that there are 3 men out there right now that aren't charged at all, and 2 of those men were kneeling on George Floyd too, it's in the back of people's mind. They're really upset about it. So you should charge those guys. Secondly, this right here is going to happen 2 more times before the stuff that I was talking about actually happens. People are really upset right now. You know, it'll die down in, about another 10 to 15 days. But then somebody else is going to get shot, and then they're not going to get charged because we don't learn our lesson. We haven't learned this lesson yet. So I think there's like 2 more times of stuff popping off like this before people are finally like, oh, okay, we have to do it.
I'm so glad that you brought up the 2 things that you did bring up, because that for me, and we've had conversations for years and years, but I like to think of myself as a solutions-oriented guy. And that's all I've looked for now. And it is a failure both of me and, my intellectual curiosity prior to this, that this is now when I'm looking for like, okay, what's the thing that we can do now? I really do believe that there's so much of this that could be changed if like internal affairs and the expunging of cop records every 3 years. And even I love your idea that if you're fired from the force for something, you actually get charged with that thing that you did, because so much of, I'm doing research for a PX3 segment tomorrow, but there was, some bad cops, and all they do is keep screwing with people, and they charge them with these things, and it ruins their lives. They can't get jobs. They are haunted by the fact that they have a charge on them, or in some cases a warrant if it lapses, like the situation that you had. And meanwhile, this cop, who's a bad cop, been brought up on internal affair charges multiple times within like 2 calendar years, just kind of keeps going, because at a certain point, there's a reset button that gets hit at departments. So you can't, if you wanted to find out, unless they got sued for it and now it's in another database, you can't tell if they've gotten rung up on internal affairs charges. And that's something that is, to me, in the moment we're in right now, whether or not we as a nation are embarrassingly late to it. And I can understand Black America, Judge Judy Giffing, tapping their wrist as we all say, oh, this is where we were supposed to be. But that kind of police reform, when you're looking at, I saw a poll today that had a majority opinion that the police station where that officer was operating out of in Minneapolis should have been burnt to the ground. A majority of Americans, in the same poll that said that the National Guard should be deployed to quell riots, said that a police station should be burnt down. I think that there is an appetite in America for some kind of police reform. And I think that that's that's one that you can bring to an average dinner table and people will say, yeah, sure. If you get fired for a charge, maybe you should have that charge on your record somewhere.
Here's how you know that your argument is landing is when Brian Brushwood, possible anarcho-libertarian who hates all licensing of all varieties, is willing to admit in public and out loud, if we're going to force doctors to have licenses that can be granted and then taken away, seems like legal enforcers should have licenses that could be granted and taken away.
Pew, pew, pew. Wait, you're not allowed to do that anymore? Oh, no. What am I going to do?
No, you are. We're not.
So those are my thoughts on that. And
well, so how do you think this plays out? I know that you mentioned we probably see a couple more incidents. I mean, like nothing changes up until then, or
like I said, you got about like 6 more days of this protesting, rioty stuff.
So
the stock market's up right now. People love war.
what I mean? And
a lot of jobs coming out right now. I mean, jobs are down, but jobs are about to be up. You know, because somebody's got to swing that hammer and put those windows back in. Somebody's got to make these chairs. Somebody has got to paint these walls. Okay, jobs are coming back. The stock market, these rich folks know.
Oh, and
they love it.
Yeah.
There are very few people that I would feel comfortable bringing up this aspect of the conversation to, and you are among them because I love you. But I mean, this has been a pregnant moment for months and months and months, and part of me wonders if to some degree this isn't just a reason to go outside. I mean, do you truly believe that has nothing to do with this moment? People putting on masks and going outside, because if I was trapped inside for a very long time, this seems like a very just, very clear case to go outside.
So, I want you to do me a favor, because I know you're into exercise and like doing things like that.
Yeah.
I assume you have a mask that you wear out. Is it a paper mask or is it like a ventilator mask?
I've got an N95 that I keep in the car, and then another one that I just throw on for when I'm going into like the corner store.
Okay. To answer your own question, tomorrow I'd like you to put on both masks and go jog around your neighborhood for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Come back and sit down inside. Tell me how you fucking feel. And then think about all the people that are in these hot states walking around with masks on, carrying backpacks of water and milk, marching for 10 and 12 miles. And think of, they could just be sitting in a park somewhere or going to their friend's pool, but they're out here in these hot streets walking this pavement. Go run around with that mask on just for 15 minutes and come sit back down and be like, man, do they really just want to get outside, or are they convinced that this is something that they have to do? This is something that they must do.
I feel like that's a slight mischaracterization of what I'm going for. What I'm trying to angle for is, I suspect that 2 months of being cooped up I've got a lot of energy, and I would love to go out and have a morally righteous reason to do so. And this is a morally righteous reason to do so. Are you saying that they're totally divorced?
I believe so. Again, because there are people that can just go out to. There's people that are apathetic that don't care about this and have been going outside for this whole time. People can go hit the streets. People are still going outside. I mean, who has actually quarantined themselves and not gone out of their house or gone to do things? They've cut down on it. I mean, a lot of people lost their jobs. They don't have somewhere to go every day, but they're still doing things. I don't know. My neighborhood where I've been around, the thing that stopped everybody from going outside is because it was cold outside. Once the weather hit 62 degrees, people were outside every day. Like, I don't know. So I don't correlate those two things together in my mind. I might be wrong about that, but to me, I don't correlate those two things as it's not. I gotta get outside. Let me go protest, do something positive if I'm gonna go outside. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't
and to be clear, because I don't want to mischaracterize this. Like the cause is right. But
I understand what you're
sometimes
saying.
there's some days you're like, man, I just want to get out there and go do something important. And this seems like a really good reason to go out and do something important.
And this might be in there's a common thread of, I live in a very liberal city, obviously in the Bay Area here in Oakland. Brian lives in the most liberal city in Texas.
Ostentatious.
I think that there is something to, in our personal experiences, some people who took the quarantine the most serious that view this as a righteous cause that requires them to break it. That would be the only thing that I would say specifically about those kinds of folks.
When you say it like that, I guess I can see that, because I do see people all the time now posting, I understand, but COVID. Like there's a large group of people that are in that camp. I get it, but COVID. Like, you know what I mean? Like a guy posted a video of two men that were crying, and the one comment, he was making a joke, but he was like, they're in the African American community. They shouldn't be hugging each other. They shouldn't be that close to each other. They're already at higher risk right now. And I'm like, bro, you're worried about COVID. We're worried about getting shot. Like there's certain things that are like COVID is the last 3 months. That guy's 40 years old. He's hugging a 16-year-old, telling him to be safe out here. You know what I mean? Like there's a man who's lived a lot of his life in fear of something, not just the last 3 months. So to that, when you phrase it like that, I understand that more. That sounds more like a thing, as opposed to just going out and partying because we're protesting. But I get what you're saying.
Which is apparently the way I said it. Sorry.
Although, for the record, I have seen multiple videos from the Oakland protest of the electric slide. The Cupid Shuffle. I apologize. It was the Cupid Shuffle I saw both times.
Yeah, apologies to the electric slide. It was definitely the Cupid Shuffle.
Apologies to the electric slide. I did see the Cupid Shuffle at a couple Oakland protests.
But I was gonna say I like people twerking at cops. That amused me when people were dancing. I saw some guy in Atlanta, he was crunking at the cops, and I saw somebody else was twerking at cops. I find that hysterical, and it amuses my heart.
All right. Let's man, we have 7 minutes in the hour, but let's we cannot go forward without talking about one of the most ambitious crossover events in all of media's history. The 25 minutes that we got of Rush Limbaugh in a simulcasted interview with New York City's top hip hop morning show, The Breakfast Club. I just need the unfiltered Owen JJ Stone, aka OhDoctah, thoughts on this Rush X Breakfast Club collab.
The world burnt down, literally. So, I mean, when people say hell's got to break loose before Rush Limbaugh does X, this is the antithesis of that statement coming to fruition. I mean, I guess the only thing worse that you could say is when pigs fly, but when people say hell's got to break loose, this is hell has broken loose that has accompanied us to this moment.
I mean, this was an interview where, like, from now on, you're talking about the, like, oh, but they shouldn't have run. Oh, but they shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have been selling Lucy cigarettes. Oops, it sucks when you break the law. Sometimes bad things happen. Like, this video, to your point, was so heinous that Rush Limbaugh felt he needed to do a 30-minute conversation with Charlemagne the God. And in that conversation says, absolutely, they should upgrade the murder 3 charge to a murder 1 charge. So if you say that dude doesn't deserve premeditated murder, that means you are to the right of Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh is more liberal than you.
My favorite thought process when I first saw it, because I thought to myself, you could have got a lot of money from me if you would have bet me Rush Limbaugh would be on The Breakfast Club, like just a year ago. You know what I mean? Like when I first heard about it, I thought to myself, that's funny. You know what I mean? Somebody spliced up some interviews and put them together, because this isn't a real thing. Like I instantly thought in my mind, Rush Limbaugh, you know, he's sick right now, so he can't. But I just thought of him just smoking a cigar saying, shit, that's fucked up. Even for me. I got to say something.
Steak Plant in the chat is saying, like, why is this being positioned as a left-right issue? That doesn't seem helpful, which sort of brings out in me, like, yes, it's strange, and none of us saw that coming, but in and of itself, isn't that a thing worthy of being celebrated? Not the cause, not how we got there, but like, all things being equal, shouldn't every day Rush Limbaugh be calling in on the Breakfast Club, or is that too crazy or too caustic a thought to have right now?
Again, he can't go against his base and his people. The guy's on his deathbed, first of all. So if he believes in the Lord, he's trying to get right with the Lord anyway. He's like, hey, look, on my way out, I know the Floyd thing was messed up. I said something, God. You know what I mean? So I don't know what his whole mental state.
But let's say there's a ballot right now. Check one. He shows up every day, or he shows up never on the Breakfast Club. Which would you check?
Never.
I guess like,
but that's just me.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Like
and by the way, he will not show up every day in the Breakfast Club because I think the Breakfast Club got all they wanted out of that experience. I think that for them, they're like, okay, we did the thing. Now that will forever be the hood ornament of the We Do Tough Interviews car that we drive. We got Rush Limbaugh after the Floyd murder. Like, it'll be crazy if they top that, but for Rush Limbaugh, like, Rush Limbaugh was the one who wanted to do it again, and I don't think they probably will, because I think that for that audience, and now I will say, I don't know how much any people in the Breakfast Club audience are necessarily familiar with Rush Limbaugh's work and not just sound bites or whatever, but still, I don't think that they give a fuck. Like, I think that it is what it is for them.
And the only thing I'll say to the opposite of me saying I could care less is the same thing I said earlier. If him being on there and expressing himself the way he did on this instance changes 3 people in his audience's mind on this topic and conversation, then it was worth it for him being on there. Because there are people that I know that, again, I said were wishy-washy on the fence, and now they're posting Black Lives Matter stuff, and they would have never, I couldn't imagine them ever supporting or posting any of that stuff, and now they are. So that if he changed any of the hearts and minds of the people on his side, then it was awesome.
Well, and this was simulcasted. To Big Voice Jay's point, you'd be surprised people can support both shows. I'm certainly positive that in wherever that gray area on the Venn diagram, there are indeed ditto heads who enjoy the donkey of the day. Yeah, there are. Yes, they enjoy. They wish that, you know, Nancy Pelosi could be the donkey of the day one day, but you know, they wait in vain. Was there anything else? Did you do anything else that you found funny in that interview? Because there was one moment that I found hilarious where I think it was DJ Envy's question where he asked him about the Kaepernick thing. Because he's like, oh, look, if you're out here talking about how bad this was, why were you hammering Kaepernick for so many years throughout all of that thing? To which Rush Limbaugh, you're right that he's in failing health, but good goddamn, could he move in the pocket? Because he sure as fuck got away from that question as fast as he could.
Well, that's what I mean about, like, I don't really care that he's on there. Again, I assume, you know, Rush has got a black girlfriend that he used to hook up with in the 80s. I assume that he's not really a racist or a crazy person. I assume that he said something one day, he checked the ratings and was like, okay, I'm going to run with that. And he's stuck on that path and rode that wave to making money and a living for himself. And he can't divert from that path. He can't leave that path because most people can't. So in this moment of his humanity, great. Because not all conservatives are bad. Like, that's the thing. I had a guy earlier tell me, oh, and it's all liberals' fault. And I was like, well, that's funny, because somebody said it's all conservatives' fault. I'm like, and you're talking to me. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I voted for Obama, and then I voted for Mitt Romney. Okay. Because I was tired of the hopey changey, because I didn't get no hopey changey. So, I mean, I'm a person who is somewhat of a free thinker, and I only got so many options because of the world we live in. So I don't feel like all people are all one thing, or vice versa. Not all cops are bad. Not all black people are criminals or innocent. Not all white people are the devil. Like, but when you see the bad, you've got to do something. And that's why I'm so excited that a lot of the world is standing up and trying to do and say something today.
Yeah, I don't know. I like when people talk to other people that they disagree with, but that's the only version of a dissent that I have.
like I said, there's no one way or the other. There's a lot of people who think that their way is the right way, and I have these conversations where it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like again, my daughter's half white. Like, and these white people are the devil. I'm like, I don't know. I loved one once. We were together for 10 years. Like we made a child. We co-parent. I can't say they're all like that. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's where what you just said is what I'm saying. There's a yin and a yang, and people need to listen to each other more. But at this moment in time, some people need to be way more vocal that aren't being vocal. So we're trying our best.
Again, I think that there are elements here that transcend race, that are about policing, and it's about like how police are held accountable. It's how police are able to go get another job if they get fired for cause. And part of this, I do think, to bring it into a political lens, and Owen, you mentioned the pensions. A lot of the reasons why these things don't happen is because of the police unions. And it's a reason why either party will go after it, because the Democrats don't want to go after unions. You go after a public sector union, and the next one is going to be the teachers union or something like that they defend very vigorously. And the Republicans aren't going to go after police because they're the law and order party, and they're not. They don't want to be the one that has the police union endorse their replacement in the next primary. So there are things that do require massive public pressure. So elements of either party say, oh, this is safe. I'll be rewarded if I take these moves. I'll be rewarded if I go forward. Otherwise, they're just going to follow the North Star of where the people in their party have gone before, and we'll get the same.
Yep. Somebody in the chat room asked, what could white people do to affect change in the short term? I got a fun answer, and I've got a serious answer. Which one do you want first?
Why are they not the same thing?
Let's go serious first,
okay,
and then end with the fun one.
You're going to understand why they can't both do the same thing. So the serious thing is to have a calling of your local politicians party, where you actually go with your friends or have your friends call and write letters or emails. Now we don't write letters to your local congressman, your mayor, your governor, and make your voice heard. Even if you just leave a message on their voicemail, just inundate them with, we need change, we need reform for police brutality, and just leave those messages. So when they hear enough constituents say it, and you don't have to say you're white, they'll be able to tell it in your voice for the most part. That's just my racist mindset on how people sound different. But just leave those messages. That's something that you could directly do. And then when it comes time for voting or fundraising or rallies, you can make your voice heard there too immediately. The other fun thing you could do immediately right now is fall in love, and impregnate or be impregnated by a person of color. It could be a Latino, it could be a black person.
Goddamn
it could
right.
be whatever you want. Like I've done my part. Okay. I'll tell you another fun story. Before my daughter was born, again, I make all these jokes, and it was just back when MySpace was popping. My friend was from Africa, and he had a white wife, and they had a baby. And I was like, oh man, you're having a mixed baby. I was like, I'm having a mixed baby. I was like, making the world a little darker, one white woman at a time. So I made a picture with the globe, and I put a little starburst on Africa, and I said, making the world a little darker, one white woman at a time. To which the mother of my child's parents did not find that funny. And they said, they came down, they had a family meeting to me, and they looked me in my face and said, Owen, what are you going to tell your daughter in 10 years when she finds this out? I said, first of all, if MySpace is still around in 10 years, I'd be shocked. Second of all, by the time my daughter's 10, who's walking around telling her that I made an image on a gift with a starburst? That's embarrassing. And third, she's going to understand by that point that I'm insane and I make jokes, and that she fully understands the fact that I'm making a joke. And why are you being so upset by this? It's just...
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
He's been censored.
We lost Owen.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. That's because his fourth point was also heavily invest in Facebook. It's a new company that's coming out, and this is me 10 years ago saying this.
Owen,
Maybe if you
can we
can
hear you?
disconnect and reconnect, hopefully we can get you back on the line. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I think
happened.
the Opal might have gotten screwed up here. Holy crap! This is the fastest I've ever done on a night attack. But maybe it's because I've been terrified from the second that we started. But holy crap! This seems like it took 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, it turns out that all you have to do is say, Owen, the floor is yours, and a show appears.
And there we go. Thank you to everybody here on Twitch. We've gotten such great conversation and such great questions and comments. The biggest thing that has been interesting for me. Oh, there we go. Owen's back.
There we go. Yeah, go make
the biggest thing that's been
my
interesting
big
for
point.
me is, like, especially early on, the conversation I saw from, and I'm going to take a wild guess, although I'm not in all of your homes, a majority white audience, was like, what can I do? What can I do? Let me do a thing. Let me do it. It's like it's like when every year they come around for a charity and you're always like, I'm gonna donate later, and you never do. And now it's like, yes, good, you're here. What should we do? I'm here. Let's go. What do I need to do? I'm ready. I've got my doing things pants on. Let's go do a thing.
Let's go make these babies. That's what I'm saying.
That's it. That's it.
That's how we do it. Bryce is part
Owen,
of the 50-50 club.
What do you think? Is there any humorous observations that you've had through all of this pain, through everything that's happened? Obviously, pain often brings absurdity. Is there anything that you have found odd or humorous throughout this?
My favorite thing that I saw, I can't believe I'm about to even say this. There's a picture. I did not post this because my blackness wouldn't allow me to, but in the sake of humor, if I could show it here, I'm not even going to send it to you. I'm just going to try and pull it up to the screen. There was a graffiti on the wall, and it said this. Focus phone. Focus. Oh my God, it's not focusing. There it is. It says, I can't. Yeah, you can't help it. It says, I can't brief. BREETH. And I giggled out loud so hard. I said, oh my God, you need to go back to school. This person needs an education. And then the second thing that I saw that made me giggle was there was a whole bunch of white women with looked like fishing rods with strings and donuts attached to them, and they're standing past the picket line baiting cops with donuts attached to strings. And that made me laugh extremely hard because I knew that the rage in those officers' hearts at that moment was just beyond limits.
They hate those donuts so much.
They wanted those donuts so bad, and they couldn't.
They wanted
reach out
justice
to
for
take
those
one.
donuts. They wanted to.
I think that's also something that has kind of come to the fore the more you talk to people that interact with the cops much more than the average white person does. Is like, and I think that being a cop is a very hard job, but boy, thin skin sometimes. Thin skin for a profession that involves going out there and adjudicating the law
Permission
in real
to
time.
end a life, yeah.
A little thin skin. Maybe that should be a part of the training. But somebody just yelling fucking nasty names at you and seeing whether or not you freak out about it.
Well, they should. What was the movie? I'm gonna butcher this concept.
They Live.
Military guy, white guy berating people. They're in the line,
Alien.
and he's got the hat on.
Oh, Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. They need that dude
Citizen
to
Kane.
be at every police. They need that dude to be at every
The
police
Shining.
interview. And if you can't make it through 15 minutes with him, you can't become a cop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
even
saying the
worse, you
most
have to
vile
watch his
shit,
History
that,
Channel
like drill
show.
sergeant shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arlie Ermy should just be fucking just ripping off your head and shitting down your neck for a solid 10 minutes.
Look, man, it's not going to get better than what we've done so far. Thank you so much to Owen JJ Stone, aka OhDoctah. Where can people follow all of your stuff?
Wait, weren't we supposed to negotiate my reparations pay? and royalty
no.
checks?
This is all yours. I'm moving out.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. I appreciate that. It's on tape, so I mean, it's still on record, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, appreciate that. I'm OhDoctah on everything that's important. If I'm not there, you shouldn't be either. And IQMZ.com is where I do stuff when I'm not being lazy. Oh, Leah.com. Leiyah. That's my daughter's website. She's making soap. We're selling soap. We're making beard oil together, and we're making moisturizers together. And I tell you what, I thought it was a horrible idea, but I'm into this soap thing so hard now, and I think
This
it's
is
luxurious
literally
and
the
special.
plot of Fight Club.
So not only is it the plot of Fight Club, let me tell you something. Let me tell you how much it is. Listen.
I know it's the benchmark of civilization.
Man, I'll
Look,
tell
I've
you what,
watched Fight Club. I understand.
That one's going to be off the books if you guessed what the final
women's badasses
subject
right
of
back
our,
to them. Yes.
special episode would be.
Let me tell you the story. So
No.
pandemic comes. Listen, pandemic comes, and my daughter's like, I don't have school anymore. Can I finally
Bryce, can you play the Dust Brothers underneath this? Or sorry, go ahead.
Can I shave the side of my hair and do my little frohawk thing? And I said, sure. So I cut her hair down on the sides. She's like, oh my God, Dad, this is so nice. I don't have to like do my hair in the shower. For a month, she begged me to shave her head. And I'm like, I'm not shaving your head. Your mom will freak out. I'm not shaving your head. We started making soap. She's begging me to shave her head. I shaved her head on the day we launched her soap. And like 30 people commented, has your daughter watched Fight Club? It didn't even seep into my mind, and she's never seen it. And I kind of don't want to show it to her now because she's definitely on the path of that. She wrestles, she does MMA and jiu-jitsu. She loves knives. She wants to learn how to shoot guns this summer, and she's shaved her head and making soap. She might have watched it without me and lied to me. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what she's doing in her spare time when I'm not watching. But yeah, we're full on Fight Club in this household. It is amazing, and I love it so much.
Owen JJ Stone, you are our bestest of friends. Congrats on your future success of Operation Latte Thunder. Bob has bitch tits. What did we learn, Justin?
Well, we've learned that Owen is Jack's thankfulness that he was able to save this episode from happening. Owen, everything I've learned is that, number one, listening and empathy will always make things better. Number two, thank you so much for coming on. And I hope that if your 2 incidents is the over-under, that I could win betting the under. Because I do hope that there is some kind of change that comes before that. And I think that it is a long time coming. If there's anything here, one thing I would say to everybody else that's listening, research. If anything here piqued your interest, look into it, research, read up on it. It is well worth it.
And if you could do one more favor for me, die in a fire.
Oh, his name was Robert Paulson.
See you next Tuesday.
Night attack, night attack, night attack, night attack, night attack. I love you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.